Today on All Sports Central, we're going to be going over our final college football game preview of the entire season, and it all comes down to this between LSU and Clemson in the Cultural Playoff National Championship, and this is going to be quite a game. I mean, you got Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence going head-to-head. Clemson's the defending champs, of course, as well. And I mean, Joe Burrow against Trevor Lawrence, this could be a matchup between two quarterbacks that could be stars in the NFL eventually. So yeah, it's going to be one to remember for sure. But nonetheless, cultural playoff semifinals for both these teams. LSU beat number 4 Oklahoma 63-28. And LSU had an absolute heyday in that game, especially Joe Burrow, who was 29 for 39, had nearly 500 yards of offense. That is insane. And 7 touchdowns to go along with that. As for Clemson, they beat number 2 Ohio State 29-23 in a close one. And Trevor Lawrence had a pretty good game as well, 18 for 33, 259 yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. And I mean, considering Clemson played Ohio State, which is certainly one of the best teams in the nation, Trevor Lawrence honestly did a pretty good job there. He was quite accurate, 259 yards as well. That's pretty good. This game's going to be on Monday, January 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern in New Orleans. And that brings up something, of course, LSU is in Louisiana as well. They're within 100 miles of New Orleans, or where the game is at. And so with that being said, I mean, LSU could have a bit of an advantage in this game just because their fan base is going to travel. It's going to be easier for them to travel, certainly with it only being a short drive down the interstate away. Spread currently says LSU by 6. ESPN FPI is saying Clemson 55%, so they disagree with the spread. Vegas is saying 45-42 LSU in a high-scoring one. So honestly, all three of these make sense in my opinion. This is going to be a close game, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see either team win this one. Here's your stat comparison for this as well. For LSU, 48.9 points per game. That's nearly 50 points a game. This is insane. As far as points allowed, 21.2. So their defense isn't as good as their offense. As far as passing yards per game, they got about 400. Very impressive there as well. 166 rush yards, and as far as yards allowed go, 221 pass yards and 119 rush yards. And we'll get to this in a couple minutes, but LSU's defense has drastically improved over the season. I mean, no doubt about that. They were allowing big point totals to Vanderbilt and teams that they shouldn't be, Ole Miss. And so, I mean, looking at how they've done the last 4 games or so, LSU's played pretty well, and we'll get to that in a second once again. But their record coming into this game, 14-0. As for Clemson, they got 45.3 points per game, 10.3 points allowed per game, so their defense has been really good all season. 292 pass yards, 246 rush yards, so they're overall pretty balanced in between passing and rushing, much more than LSU is. And then as far as yards allowed for Clemson, 138 pass yards and 106 rush yards. Clemson is also 14-0 heading into this game. Here are your previous 5 games for both these teams as well. Once again, LSU has beaten 2 full-ranked teams in a row. They beat Oklahoma 63-28 easily, and they also easily beat Georgia. That was a surprising win there, 37-10. I thought LSU was going to win that game, but man, I didn't think they were going to win it by that much. Then they beat up Texas A&M in the last game of the regular season, 50-7, not even close to Arkansas as well, 56-20. And you can kind of see what I mean with the Ole Miss game. They allowed 37 points to Ole Miss. And that was a little bit concerning at that point in the season. I mean, they'd also allowed big point totals to like Texas and Vanderbilt as well, 2 pretty mediocre teams. And so, I mean, kind of looking into that Arkansas game and towards the end of the season, most people were thinking, man, LSU, that's when LSU was ranked number 2 because their defense just wasn't looking all that great. But overall, it has really improved over the last few weeks. I mean, allowing 20 to Arkansas isn't all that great, but allowing 7 to Texas A&M is great. And then Georgia only allowing 10 to them. And Georgia has had some offensive trouble, but overall, I mean, their offense hasn't been all that bad this season. So 10 points allowed to them is great. And then Oklahoma is always known for their offense, 20 points. Overall, LSU's played really well over the last couple weeks. As for Clemson, they've done pretty well down the stretch. They beat Ohio State once again by 6. They beat up Virginia big time, 62-17 in the ACC Championship. They beat South Carolina in the last game of the regular season, 38-3. Good win there on the road. And they also beat up Wake Forest, a team that was actually pretty good this season, 52-3. And also they capped that off on November 9th. They beat up NC State on the road, 55-10. So overall, both these teams are on fire right now, no doubt about it. And Clemson's very motivated by the disrespect that they've received this season, and rightfully so. I mean, to see how like they were dropped in the rankings just for winning and being in a bad conference, I mean, it does say something. And here's some key points as well. LSU does have a better strength of the schedule, though. Let's be honest with that. LSU is in the SEC. In the SEC, you got Alabama, you've got Georgia. All those teams are much, much better than anything you got in the ACC. For Clemson, really the only team that they've played in the ACC that could be a challenge, Virginia maybe. They just don't really have any teams in that conference that are as good. Both teams are red hot heading into this game, though, no doubt about it. Joe Burrow has been nearly impossible to stop. Seeing how he played against Oklahoma, man, he was insane. And winning the Heisman just fuels the fire more, it seems like. Clemson is better defensively, in some areas, of course. Of course, for LSU, they have played better offenses, so you got to consider that as well. But yeah, LSU has been improving on defense once again. Over the past 4 games, they've looked really good, and they're getting a lot of their players back as well. You got to consider Delpit is back. He's been injured a lot. They've got another player on their defense that was suspended as well. He's going to be back. So, for LSU, they're getting most of their players healthy once again. And another thing for LSU, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he wasn't even active. He was very limited in their game against Oklahoma. And looking at how he could be back in this game easily, that's going to be big for LSU. And if he could be at full strength, this LSU offense is going to be tough. How would each team win this one? If Clemson can in any way stop this LSU offense, I think they've got a chance. And I think Clemson's secondary, their secondary is pretty good actually. So LSU's going to have to find a way to break through that. But for Clemson, yeah, you just got to stop Joe Burrow, put pressure on Joe Burrow. But then again, LSU's O-line as well is very good. So for Clemson, that's what you got to do. As for LSU, shut down Clemson early, get up by a good 2 or 3 touchdowns. And I think that would be the key to win for LSU. And I think that's what happens. I think we see a high-scoring one here with both offenses being insanely good. Your halftime score is going to be 20-24. LSU leads it by 4. I think we get off to a really fast start, and we see scoring on nearly every drive. Your final score is going to be 45-38. LSU is going to win it by a touchdown. They're going to be your 2020 national champions. Clemson would. It'd be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me to see them win, especially since they were the defending national champs and stuff like that. They got experience. Trevor Lawrence has got experience from a national championship, and that's going to help him a ton, I feel like. But for LSU in this situation, straight up, they are the better team. Let's be honest there. You got Joe Burrow, you've got a defense that is improving a lot, and the way that they played against Oklahoma, man, it's going to be brutal for Clemson to win this game. And for Clemson, they're going to have to play nearly perfectly, in my opinion, if they're going to win. You got to find a way to stop Joe Burrow if you're even going to have a chance. But nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments below. Let me know who you think is going to be the national champions. Also, let me know your score predictions as well. I find those kind of interesting, just to see what you guys think of that as well. But once again, thank you all for watching. Thanks for a great season 2. This is officially my last college football preview of the entire season. So thank you guys all for a great season, all the support and everything. It's been awesome. Once again, stay tuned for more. Subscribe for some off-season stuff. We got predictions and all that stuff coming up, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching, though, once again, and I will see you all later.